Good morning, Rabbi Isai. A guten Chodesh. Lili Nishmas imi mirasi rus bas Mordechai. Today we have three sponsors. We are still in Piki'in HaChadasha. I'll get to that in a second. Sponsored by Shmeul Eliwatt in honor of my wife Miriam Tara on the occasion of our 20th wedding anniversary. Mazel tov Shmuel. Thank you for caring for the children every morning so I can learn at MDY. Yeah, that does. Talk to the wife. She'll be masking to learn the daf for the children. Avi Mandelbaum. Last night I happened to be by Avi Mandelbaum's home. I think this has no connection. This is way in advance that he sponsored, but it was a beautiful time in Moreshet in memory of my great grandmother, Mrs. Eva Freeman, on her 17th and my grandfather on his 23rd yurtzheit. And Eli Nishmas, our mother, on the third sponsor. Eli Nishmas, our mother, Feige bas Tzvi, Leah Shalom, on her 25th yurtzheit. And Isha Chashuvah, who's Nifteres, at 42 years old. And Rosh Chodesh from Yakov, Leah, Chezky, Gavriel, Sara, and Dovi, Kasnett, in our family. Nishmas should have an Aliyah. 42 years old. Wow. So, we are here in Piki'in HaChadasha. I was going through a little bit of a rough spot. My good chaverim, Noam Fix, Avi Mandelbaum, and Gershon Ben Moshe, they took me out to Zimmer North, and we're still here. It was great times. Throughout the Shabbos, I kept on saying, well, we learned to do Zimun and Akais. Kept on bringing up stuff from the Gemara until we got to Havdalah. Havdalah was a little bit of a boo-boo. As we see today, you're supposed to make Havdalah on Yayin. Being that the Olam was having such a great time, there's 0 Yayin left. And you're supposed to leave a little bit of Yayin. There's a little bit of a problem. So, I need to read this email. We're slightly late here, but it's a great email. Dear email is from Tzvi. How can I possibly thank you and the members of the MDY team, Noam, Avi, Gershon, Yosef, Yoshua, Ruven, who else am I missing? There's many. Moshe Hirsch on the Merkaz, the Seltzers, Ahmed Seltzer. I've been in River, but we fired him 500 Kool-Aids, charts, and your entire mahalach are a daily reminder of what I need to do to excel at my job. Your unique ability to pause and engage everybody in the room, and even those on Zoom, is amazing. And I found we've not been very good on the Zoom. We have to go to the Zoom guys. I found myself listening to your share exclusively for fear of missing another personal story, bad joke, or tidbit that make it impossible to tune out. Additionally, I've been forced to rethink the charts that I put up on the board because they don't measure up. I'm constantly looked out for anything I can use as a prop to enhance my giving over the Perek HaMafkid to my. After all, not every Talmud is as easy to engage as in the Rizcha Deraisa as Shazelik Farkovich, but I do have one complaint. Here goes. There's always one thing. It couldn't have been a perfect email without this, but it's ganz fine. Yosef Erman is my first cousin. And the moment I discovered your shir, the strong resemblance hit me. The problem is, I think all of the shout-outs are getting to his head. I'm afraid what would have happened if the emailer from the other day had mentioned him as a supporting character on your TV show. He is handsome, but not in the same league as you. And by all accounts, you don't understand how great this line is. I have to say it again. He is handsome. Now, why am I saying it again? Because I once told his wife that people say that he looks like me, and she goes, what? You know how much better looking he is than you? So here's his wife. I didn't say this. He's handsome, but not in the same league as you. Maybe he means he's much more handsome. Okay. As you, by all accounts and equations, not nearly as talented on the basketball court. Thank you. I very much look forward to giving you a personal shikoyach and maybe even dancing together at the 5-town Pesachim Siyum, Tzvi Medetsky. Looking forward, Givaldik, Rabbi Isha, here we go, another full daf of Agadata. V'amalei Ravasi. Sorry, V'amalei Rav Ravasi Gershon, you got to make sure that the YouTube and everything is working, because any second, no? We don't have very good connection here up north. So Rav says to Ravasi, you have to make sure that you have dogs and horses, you need the noise, you need the sound, because if not, the thieves will come in there. And if the thieves come in there and you don't have a horse to chase them down, you're more likely to get hit up by those thieves. Don't live in Bet Shemesh. It says in the Gemara, why? In Bet Shemesh, the Liza Blach, and it says here, you should not live in a city that the mayor is a doctor. Nothing
about Sara. You're just saying.
No, the point is that the doctor's busy, the doctorness, seeing patients and everything. Well, let the city go. This guy's a bigger shad yesterday. The guy that didn't know stuff. This guy not only is he marrying 2 women, inasas tarte. If you should marry, you shouldn't marry 2. But if you marry 2, you gotta marry a 3rd one. Wow.
Raise a crowd.
One of them is going to snitch. Omeli Rav Rav Kahana, again Rav tells Rav Kahana, one of the most degrading moments in my life was when I worked as an electrician. I wanted to go into the real estate field, but I wanted to learn from the bottom up. Everything I said, I don't have any new stories besides the RV one from last night, which I said 2 years ago. Fine. I was up, and the guy, my firm boss, he got a job which required to dig 1 foot down into the ground and 60 feet long to bury a wire. The only problem was, now he wanted me to do the work, of course. So he gave me a shovel and he said, go to work. I only found out when I got to the location that it's my father-in-law's home. So there I am digging a 60-foot ditch, 1 foot deep, and it was the middle of the winter and there was snow on the embarrassing time. I'm there with the shovel. The point is that sometimes you have to start from the bottom. Now, and I also want to say that one of the most inspiring things that I've seen, and I've said this many times, I spoke to the guy. This guy, I don't want to mention his name, because I didn't ask Rishos, but he comes every single day now to the Beis Medrash. And I was extremely inspired by him, and I mentioned this to many people. He used to clean the streets right where our Beis Medrash is, in that neighborhood. And I lived in that neighborhood, and I would see a frum guy, a little bit of a beard, with headphones, cleaning the streets with a broom. And they said he does a great job. He did it for a living. So I went over to him one day. I said, what's going on here? He says, I listen to Torah Shiurim. He's a very serious guy. My son, my 10-year-old, is his son's best friend. Your son's best friend. The 3 of them are best friends. He says, I listen to Torah, and I'm able to work out and clean Eretz Yisrael. And I couldn't believe it. I'm so used to people only working in real estate and nursing homes. He's cleaning the streets of Eretz Yisrael. All right. Anyway, you have to start from the bottom sometimes. You have to take any job that's available, and Be'ezer Hashem will be. The Hasidim are very good at it, by the way. They drive trucks, they drive buses, they work as cashier registers. It doesn't matter. You get it done. Bring a little parnas in. Something. Shirusach b'hadoch. This, via libcha says Rashi. Your heart is going to desire it. You're going to get addicted, and you're going to spend a lot of money on the medication and on rehab. You shouldn't jump over the rivers. It causes, we say that if you take large steps, it takes away 1/500. We can say you should make shortcuts. Different people learn different things. In those days, Nebuch, if they had a lot of pain in their teeth, they'll just rip the tooth out. He says, don't do it, because the pain is going to go away and you're going to be stuck without a tooth, which reminds me of, I read once a beautiful thing that there's a soldier or soldiers, but I read about a particular soldier in the Russian army who didn't want to fast on Yom Kippur, who wanted to fast on Yom Kippur, I should say, and there's no way out. The only way out was if he pulled a tooth out. So in order to fast, he ripped his tooth out and he showed them that he one tooth the day off, and therefore he was able to fast. It's not a lashon of kina, of being jealous. Don't provoke a snake, will attack you, like the kana barma, and don't provoke a guy. There are three that you don't provoke. The Gemara explains you shouldn't provoke a younger guy. If you try to provoke a younger non-Jew, what happens when he gets older? That's what they do with the Palestinians. They teach the young. That's what you do. So you think, he's just a young kid. Eventually, he's going to come and take revenge. Talmud Katan, the same thing. You see a guy that's not that great in learning, you make fun of him a little bit, shtach him, and all of a sudden, before you know it, he's better than you, and he'll put you in your place. So Rav had another son. We were talking about Chia. He told his son, I tried really hard to teach you Gemara, it didn't work. You're not hopping. So you know what? Let me teach you a little bit about business. Let me teach you something about the world. So step number one is when you buy the produce, the product, don't hang on to it. Sell it immediately. So you buy and sell, buy and sell. Like this, you'll have a little money, you'll buy a little more. Don't be over chacham. Now he goes into other things, to detail. When you buy something, you purchase things, regret selling them. Try to hold on to them. So this two things. This is your business, obviously you want to sell. But other things, don't try to sell. Since it could spoil quickly. Shari your wallet, in other words, receive the cash, and then only afterwards, then give the product. Kaba me'aro v'leikoiro me'igra. So this is a big yurtzheit for you, Avi.
Yeah, I'm listening.
It's for you, specifically to you. Try to work close to your house, even if it means you're going to make less money. V'leikoiro me'igra. So I saw the Ben Yoda says a fascinating thing here because he says the numbers that apply today, in today's day and age. How much money do you typically make on a real estate deal? And he says, invest in real estate, you make about 5%. Whereas somebody comes over to you and offers you a 20 to 3% return, great, stay away. Those are risky, stick to something solid. And that also applies because a few times people came over to me.
Quick money schemes.
What?
Quick money schemes.
Yeah, but a lot in Eretz Yisrael, there's a lot of these people. They advertise. You can buy a house in Philadelphia, for $20,000. Just invest with us, and we'll get you the money, and you can make big returns. So I always tell people the same thing. If anybody asks me, I say, invest nearby. Don't invest. Don't trust all those scams. Better to make little. It says here, kaba me'aro v'leikura me'igra. A kur is 180 times the size of a kav. It's better to make one. If you know for sure you're going to make the money, it's what do you do? Lebei sudora. Mar is going to explain soon. Sudona is a beer maker. Why is it? Going to touch. If you have something in the basket, go right away and make your beer. Vatkama omarova atlosas 432 eggs worth. Get rid of it. Omar Papa. Eloi the Ramoy Shichra lo yatri. Rav Papa, the famous beer maker, if it's not for the beer that he made out of dates, I wouldn't have been wealthy. Amri, Rav Chizda is the one that said it. My Sudana, why is a beer maker called a Sudana? Rav Chizda soid no gumilas chasadim. There's a beautiful secret. You take something cheap like a date, and you make beer out of it, and you become wealthy to the point, what do you do with your money? You could give others, gumilas chesed. Omar Papa, Kol Agav Gavriel Baya. When you have debt, people owe you money. So you're gonna have to go knock on doors. And this is, I just realized now. Rav Papa first the door, and he had to sit on a bed, and then he had to run away. So this is Rav Papa telling you, listen, it's better to get cash up front, whatever it means, however you could get it. Don't give credit, it's always problematic. Ashray in Hebrew, Ashray, credit, subsidy. You don't know if you're going to get it. Less cash today than a lot of credit for tomorrow. If people pay you back, they pay you back 100 here. Let's say you lend $1,000. The guy pays you 100 today, 100 tomorrow. What do you do with $100? You give it away, it disappears. It's better to get it in one shot. Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of the people of Yerushalayim, try to go in some sort of platoon that goes in last. Go out last so that you can come back first. If it's possible, if it's in your hands to do so, whatever that means, if the general is not to tell you exactly how to go, try to come back first. So we had this a number of times, so once again, don't borrow money from people if you can't afford it in order to beautiful Shabbos. Now, right on the spot, Taisa says, but we say that you could, whatever you spend on Shabbos, like Baruch Hu is going to pay you back. It says Taisves that you have. If you have the money and you spend it, so Hashem will pay you back. But if you don't, you can't borrow money. Then we spoke about yesterday. What does that mean? How much emunah you have to have, bitachon, etc. Once again, the same idea. Try to do business with somebody that's successful, that has good luck. Says Rival, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, I heard from Anshe Yerushalayim, Al tarbo beganois. Don't do things in the open. The famous story of Melech Bathsheba. He went on the rooftop and he saw her bathing. The whole story, he shot an arrow on an apple, on a bird, tried to get a bird, and the arrow went off and hit the sheet, and she was exposed. And that's how and she was married to Uriah, and the whole story sent him to war and died. Weber says he doesn't know what he's talking about, but the whole problem is over there. And there was some mess up, and it happened because she was on the roof in an open place, in a public place where she shouldn't have been.
What about the fact that he just fired her in an open place?
They didn't have the, what is it called? When you get your license to carry, which I have, concealed weapon carry, they teach you these things. I don't know, they had those, don't shoot in the open. Okay. Here's the big side. This is also, we might be able to apply this to today's day and age, to the shidduch crisis. I'm not kidding. Bitcha bagra. If your daughter gets older, shachar avdecha v'tenla. You have to look into what the Gemara is saying here. The Gemara is saying literally, let your slave loose, and he should marry your daughter. In other words, in our day and age, we don't have slaves. So instead of going to Panovich to chap the best shidduch in the world, so you go to Chreis, you go to Chevron. No, it's the opposite. But you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you compromise. You don't want your daughter to get older. In those days, the Gemara says literally bagra. She became years old because that's when they married them off really, really young. You don't want her to get too old.
It's an essay.
What?
It's an essay.
To what?
To let your effort.
Our mitzvah. The news, what does he say? We had it in the Gemara that you mishachar eved for the bar mitzvah. To make a minyan, you can be mishachar eved.
Yeah, it says right here, he brings it down right here.
The what?
Like he did for the minyan.
And he says before it's the minyan?
Yeah.
Gewaldig. Yeah, so the bar mitzvah, you're allowed to.
Tomorrow minyan.
You make sure your wife, because the Gemara always says that a woman loves her son-in-law, so it's problematic. You're not allowed to live in a mother-in-law's house. Because of the closeness that they might have, Rav Kahana, and she'll spend a lot of money on him. Vaha isnahu. These things exist. You got to be careful. These three people get Olam Haba. Hadar be'Eretz Yisrael. If you live in Eretz Yisrael, you get Olam Haba. Rochel Olam Haba. V'amagadol ban of the Talmud Torah. and if you bring up your sons for Torah. What does that mean? Literally, what it means is if you see running low on wine, it's better to leave some over for Motzei Shabbos rather than making kiddush on wine. Kiddush you can make on bread. But I estimated the oil was, not kidding, not exaggerating, probably the best zmiras I ever had in my life.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. It was for hours. To what time? Without a guzma. To what time did the guys go straight, the boys?
After midnight.
After midnight, straight. Zmiras, non-stop, beautiful voices. Each guy here, unbelievable. The Bachram did a phenomenal job. The adults also. But,
Is it not a problem of Chana? You have to hold the wine till after Shabbos? It's after Shabbos.
nah, it's mitzvah. First of all, you didn't do anything. You're just not drinking. Mahi, the Mishayim Kiddush Lavdalta. You leave over from Kiddush to Havdalah, the Gemara says so before. And certainly, just to have another cup of wine in the middle of the wheel, we had plenty for Kiddush. Baruch Hu announces about them. Al Ravok Hadar B'Krach V'Nechoyta. Imagine a single man who's single and he has all these temptations because he lives in a city and he's not Choyta. Which reminds me of Eliyahu Jacobs, who found 7,460 shekel. I mean, we take it for granted, but imagine the Nissan, person who has no money, considered an Avian, learns in Koil, makes a couple thousand shekel, and nothing. Finds 7,000 shekel, like that. No, Baruch says you have to give it back, you give it back. It's not the biggest Nissan in the world, but it's up there. It doesn't have a simon, because the Gemara says sometimes you're chassid shaita if you give back money, because if a $100 bill falls on the floor, it doesn't have a simon. So this, you could argue that it wasn't real simon or somebody's handwriting is not true, but it said exactly how much money was on the thing. Fine. A wealthy person does things quietly, doesn't pray for them. It goes for other things as well. It's not. We have to learn from this. It means give you credit. Look how much I'm giving to this. You do it with tzina. Rav Safra Ravak Hador B'Krachava says Rav Safra was a single man who lived in a city. We're turning to Daf Kufyud Gimel Beis, sponsored by Eli Stefansky, Brocha vehatzlacha for all the MDY team and their everyday lives. I wish I had a picture here. You know, I could take a picture. We're going to take a picture real quickly. The MDY team, a big part of them, sitting right in front of me, in the middle of shir. Here's the picture, here's the clock. Givaldik, okay. Tani Tame, for all the hard avodas hakodesh they do, which they do, it's unbelievable. For all Chel Yisrael, especially from our MDY family, please consider joining the MDY Tehillim group, tehillim.8mindaf.com. Come join, sit down. What are you doing up so early? Tanakh made the Rav of Rav Safra. So he just said this halacha over. He said that if a person is single and he's gaber and he's not choyta, tremendous chos. Tzavu pon of the Rav Safra. Rav Safra is so excited. I'm single and I live in a city. It wasn't speaking about you. They were shoemakers in Israel. They're sitting in a marketplace full of Zionis, and the part of their job required them to make shoes for the Zionis. They wouldn't even lift up their eyes to look at these. They're in such a terrible position and they still controlled themselves. When the Zionis, when they would swear, this is what they would say. Look at these holy rabbis, the Ba'ara de Yisrael. I'm swearing on the Chashuvah, the Tamid Chachamim, the holy Tamid Chachamim of Eretz Yisrael. Maybe that gives another meaning to that long Kaddish. Kaddish, I don't know if we say that. I just remember something. Oh, the Ba'asra Kaddish. Okay, that's a different thing. Okay, this is Rabbanan Kaddish. And there's three that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves. Person has anger, but he controls his anger. Yeah, oops on all of these, I think. Yeah, it's a problem. Person doesn't get mad. Person doesn't get drunk. And you hear this, Gary? Person that doesn't get drunk, HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves him. I'm talking to myself here. I got a little bit more tipsy last night, no, 2 nights ago, than I did on Purim, because I didn't have to give shir until Motzei Shabbos. I had to control myself because of shir. Person control his midas. Person who controls his midas, HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves him. 3 HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates. He thinks one thing, but does another thing. He could testify for his friend but refuses. This is amazing. This is a big chiddush here. You know something terrible about a person. Terrible. Guy's a ganav, a guy did a terrible thing to a kid, whatever it is. It's just you. And you go and you testify about him on your part. Says the Gemara, why? This guy Tuvia sinned. Zigud is the only one that saw it. So he went and he testified. Rav Papa turned around. Instead of punishing the bad guy, he punished the witness. I don't understand. He sinned and I get punished for it? Yes. You are over on mechilos. Since I cannot accept your testimony is only 2. So what do? You came and you said something. Stop. You said Lashon Hara. I can't accept it because you're one person. And it says, you didn't gain anything by telling me the story. Unbelievable. You have to know the different circumstances and if you're saving other people, this, that, how it works. But stop telling Rav Papa a nice, juicy story. And you were single. All you're trying to do is give him a bad name, and you didn't accomplish anything. I don't know how to. We have to apply it to our day-to-day lives. No, you would think. You know, if a guy is a shtickle ganav, you're trying to help everybody. Not the right thing to do.
He's talking about it in the context of the base. You show up in the base, you mess things up.
Adarabba. So, and if you just show up and your local rabbi, or
I get you shouldn't be a tattletale, but what if something you gotta say it?
I know. I'm saying a guy is he's inappropriate with children. So what do? You keep it to yourself. Don't you have to? So you have to know. Here's an amazing thing. You cannot testify about it. He's a non-Jew. No, you don't have to help a non-Jew's donkey. You have to help the Jewish donkey. So of course, we're talking about a Jewish donkey owned by a Jew, and you hate him. You're not allowed to hate a Jew. You shouldn't hate a Jew in your heart. I hate this one guy, but I hate him because he's causing me to hate him. That's why I hate him. Not because... That was too deep. I hate him because he's making me be over on the sisness achicha bilvavecha. Okay, whatever. Eladikis had the Dovi surah. It's true though. What happened is there were witnesses that he did it Isser. Kula alman nami misnasanilei. So there's witnesses, and if there's witnesses, everybody has to hate him. So why are you special? Why is it soinacha? Why are you hating him? He's the whole world's enemy. You are the only one that saw that he sinned, and memela, you are the only one that is permitted to hate him. Now there's an amazing Tosfos, a very deep Tosfos. I love this Tosfos, top Tosfos. It says Tosfos in Toimar. You have in front of you your best friend, and you need to undo his donkey, but you have in front of you an enemy that you have to load up the donkey. So the mitzvah b'saina, you're supposed to help your enemy in order to overcome this bad inclination that you have to hate people.
Even though there's usually a bigger mitzvah to be parak.
Even though usually there's a bigger mitzvah to unload. Says Taisves, Vashta, Mike, what are you trying to overcome? We just said it's a mitzvah to hate this guy. Why do you hate that in this guy? You hate. You obviously we're not talking about a Rosh, we're talking about a tzaddik. He's a really bad guy. So then why does the Gemara say that you should help him in order to overcome your bad inclination, which the Torah told you to hate? You're supposed to hate him. You're not supposed to overcome that inclination. It says Taisves, an amazing psychology here. You're supposed to hate him, so you hate him. How much are you supposed to hate him? The Torah tells you to hate him. So no, how much hate could you already build up in you? Because the Torah said you hate him 20 out of 100. So now the bad guy, this ganav that you hate, he realizes that you hate him because so now he hates you 20. Oh, he hates you, and he starts saying things about you. So now you hate him 40. Oh, that extra 20 that you hate him, that's what the Torah wants you to get rid of. You're supposed to hate him a certain amount, not like wow, like you hate a Nazi. You hate him because he's a bad guy, because he's not listening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But now you added your own personal vendetta. That's what the Gemara wants you to get rid of. They say in Gemara, you completely hate him. You want him to die. A guy that doesn't have hair, you don't want him to die. He should get cancer. No, you don't want that. He's a bad guy. Now you mamish, you're his enemy. That's what you have. It's unbelievable, Gemara, no? You have to work on your midah to hate another person. Unbelievable. So the Gemara. It's a mitzvah. We say all the time, if a person doesn't act properly, is not makayim the Torah, then you could hate him, you could talk him, and there's different things you're allowed to do. Over here, Hashem, you have your Shemaim, you hate the guy that's doing bad, evil. Are you allowed to tell your Rebbe, or anybody, in fact, you're allowed to tell them, if you know that your Rebbe or whoever it is going to trust you 100%, then you're allowed to say it over. So here it goes. That's what we were talking about before. If somebody's going to really trust you, or if he thinks you're a guy that makes up stories, so then you're not allowed to tell him. There are three people that their life is miserable. People that have rachmanis on everybody, and people that constantly get angry. People that are super sensitive, everything bothers them. Rav Yosef, Kulu Isnu Bi. Rav Yosef says, I'm messed up. I have all these things. I'm Rachman, Ratchan, and he's blind. Shemi Racham. Torah Rabban. Shloisha Sainim says there's three that hate each other. Elam, Haklavim, Dovi Golim, and chickens. Vachabarim, and these are Shemim Afazainois. So everybody goes crazy. What Tamil Chacham hate each other? They're different pshat. In the Torah, the way they learn, they were very aggressive in their learning. Shloisha Oyavim says there's three that love each other. The Gerim they have to stick together because they're the bottom of society. They're looked down at, so to speak, today. But people, ger, so they stick together. Va'avodim and slaves, va'irvim and crows. Arba ein adas avaldim. The four that nobody could stand them. Elohen. Dal geya va'asher mechachesh. So this is the reverse of what's supposed to be. You have a pauper that runs around with his nose up in the air. He's so proud. Usually reserved for the wealthy. Not that it's a good thing. A pauper that says, I can't pay you back. I don't have money. The guy could pay you back. So why? So he's acting the reverse of what we expect, and people hate that. V'zokim minayah, for an old person that runs around doing yisurim, uparnas mizgal at tzibur b'chinam, and somebody in charge of the community. And as the Rashbam points out, he doesn't take care of the community. All he does is he uses his power and depresses the. A person divorces his wife once or twice, and then he brings her back. That says the Gemara, so how come Tanakama doesn't talk about a person that divorces his wife twice? He's making the mitzvah of Machzik Rishos, and then he divorces again. It's a terrible thing. People hate that guy. So says the Gemara, because the Ksuvas Maruba, the reason why he brought her back is because he couldn't afford it. He had too much of a ksuba. He's like, you know what's better if I marry her. And then he realized, okay, money, I'll get rid of her again. He doesn't want to. Means he doesn't want to divorce her because he doesn't want to remain divorced because he has children with her. Says the Gemara, there's 5 things that Knan told his kids. Now, the Rashbam says he didn't really tell them, but they act in such a way that's obvious that this is very acceptable by them. You should love each other. You should love to steal. You should love arayas. You should hate your master because Knan are always slaves. So if you hate your master and you love him, you get along in life. And don't talk the truth. Don't speak the truth. He loves war. He's about guy with a horse. And he hates sleeping, like the Gemara in Brocha talks about David HaMelech, that he slept shishim nishman like a horse. Less than shishim nishman. He eats a lot, and he deposits less. He wants to kill his master. He doesn't run away. He won't run away from danger. In other words, some say that if you come back to you don't say to make I have a horse here. I bought a horse, and he's very into eating, and he that's the horse. You can't give it back to me. Or you say, I went to the war with him, and he's a terrible horse. No.
You drove it off the lot.
That's it. Well, as long as he acts like a horse, then he's a horse. Shiva menudim l'shamayim. The 7 that are menuda, they're excommunicated by Shemayim. Melem Yehudi she'ein lo isha. If you don't get married, b'sheyesh lo isha ve'ein lo banim. If a person doesn't have children, now Taisus points out, what do you mean he doesn't have children? Because he doesn't want to have children. It's up to him, and he decides, I don't want to have children. He's a pesheya. Again, he's a pesheya. He doesn't send them to yeshiva. So this is interesting. It even says tzitzis over here. You should go your way to do the mitzvah. No, you're not mechuyev to wear tzitzis. You only okay. So go and put tefillin on your head, at least for Kriya Shema, at least for these things. You go barefoot. Let's say you come to a bris and you sit down. You don't want to bet. Or, like Taisus points out over here, on top of Kuf Yudalid, there's a chasana of a kohen marrying a bas Talmid Chacham, that sort of thing. A real mitzvah, you don't participate. You come and say Mazel Tov, you run away and sit the meal and how do you know you don't ask the stargazers what's the future? Now we said, just the other day we mentioned Rav Yosef was told by the stargazers there's going to be a Rosh for 2.5 years. He realized that he's going to die after 2.5 years. So he said Rabbi should be first for 22 years and I'll be second. That's stargazers. The answer is he didn't go to them. They came to him. They offered information. You're allowed to trust their information. It's based on a real science, but don't go and ask them what the future holds you. Why? You have to accept everything Hashem. So don't worry about what the future is. Rabbi say over here you could close your ears. This is not good. If you know that your friend is greater than you, if he knows one piece of Torah more than you, you have to treat him with kavod. Look at Taisus over here on top of Kuf Yudal Amud Aleph. This is why I told you can't listen to this. Second Taisus down. If you didn't learn anything from this guy, he knows one piece of information more than you have to treat him with respect. But if somebody taught you one thing, if you learn one thing from somebody, then certainly you have to treat him with respect. You hear Gary? Okay. That wasn't respectful. Say that nicely again. Let's just finish this one line here. So a woman who gives birth to a boy, she's tummy for 7 days, and then she gets 40 freebies. Even if she sees dam during those 40 days, she's not tummy, she's mutter to her husband. And then she goes to the mikvah. 47. So on that day 47. Now if it's a girl, you double it up. So she's tummy for 14 days, And then from day 15 to 80, they're all freebies. And then she goes to the mikvah on 81. So if she is tar through those 40 days, so she doesn't care about dam. Dam means nothing to her because dam is mutter. Dam is, it's as if nothing happened. So we're concerned, it's the Rabbanan, halacha the Rabbanan, we're concerned that she's going to be confused. She's not going to realize that dam is something, that dam creates tumah. So we tell her to wait one day, one oina. Let's see the Gemara. She's not allowed to be with her husband. Ad kama? For how long? Omarav oina. Oina is one period of time. In other words, a 12-hour period. That first night that she goes to the mikvah, she's ushered to her husband for 12 hours just to make a break from her freebies, and now from now on, she's ushered to her husband every time she sees dam. Have a wonderful day. Shir Malois. Shir Malois, Morokum Sichadinoi. Shmeul Eliwatt. תמשיך להם שמוע, בויקר, אחרי ישראל עדינוי כי מדעני החסד והבאים מפדוס, והוא ידי ישראל, מכל הבני סוב.